Hello everyone, how's it going? I'm WoWcrendor, and welcome to another episode of World of Crendor, 15 to be exact. And if you have a question, you can email it into worldofcrendor@gmail.com, and your question may get answered on this show where I give my opinion on things, and it's exciting, I guess. Okay? Okay. First question. This is a long question, so brace yourself. Hey Crendor, I am here to talk about marketing, WoW, and Blizzard. I firmly believe that Blizzard is making a grave mistake and is slowly digging a hole for themselves. While it is hard to say anything about WoW's player base statistics and their business goals, what I can say is that Blizzard is marketing their game to casual players. By casual, I mean people who barely get into video games for all the trolls out there, and children. You can see by their TV and web ads, Chuck Norris wink wink. Take the often seen WoW ad of orcs and goblins dancing in a bright color scheme and friendly to the eye type front. This started at the end of Wrath of the Lich King and Cataclysm. Before that, we had ads with clips from Wrath of the Lich King TBC cinematics which had a really serious tone in them. While it was successful in a way, and it did boost the sales of WoW dramatically, WoW's peak was during the start of Cataclysm, it was really temporary, WoW's current subscription numbers. This is because the group they are marketing to is really unreliable. These players are not likely to continue playing in 2 to 3 years. And now Mist of Pandaria is released. As everyone knows, it's got a lot of mixed feelings. While most of these feelings are biased, Blizzard should have done everything to prevent them. New expansions should leave people in awe and make them flood the forums with how good the expansion is, not controversy. Leave that to Hollywood. If Blizzard wanted, they could have stuck with their Mist of Pandaria and made it more appealing. But they didn't. Add a few old gods, add a few lore character assassinations to spark ignite for the world drama old god manipulation chaos on the most peaceful continent, and Blizzard's PR would have increased. So for my question, do you think WoW's marketing and game design strategy is wrong and that they should instead cater to their current loyal player base by making the game much darker to try to make the game appealing to the fantasy RPG gaming community? With Skyrim sales numbers, we can see there is still a big market for that. Or do you think that they are pushing the lighthearted theme more and more in preparation of Titan? I think it's logical having two games who cater to distinct player bases. WoW, which is outdated now to people who don't have high-end gaming PC, usually the casual players. Titan to people who own gaming PCs. Sorry for the real long question and some spelling grammar mistakes. Peace. Envos. Woo! Well, that was a long question, but I liked it, because I like to talk about marketing, because I like marketing. So let's discuss this. First off, Blizzard's marketing so far has been... Let's talk about what they have. They have Pandaria coming out. They have people knowing that they're losing subscribers due to, like, having to report their numbers and stuff. And they are making these new WoW commercials and such. So those are, like, the three main things people are talking about right now. And the first thing you say is that they're slowly digging a hole for themselves. But, I don't think they are. I think what they're doing right now is that they're trying to turn the sinking ship around, because right now people are leaving, and it's pretty easy to see that people are leaving because you see it all over. People are like, I'm quitting, this is stupid, and that's Cataclysm. People are quitting Cataclysm because I think, in my personal opinion, that right now the game is too time-consuming. It's not difficult, but it's too time-consuming, and you're doing the same stuff you've always done over and 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 over, and there's nothing to do when you're not doing that stuff, which would be raiding and PvP. What do people tell raiders when they're not raiding? Why don't you go PvP? What do you tell PvPers? Why don't you go raid? Like, there's nothing else to do, and people have done that for so long that it gets to a point where you need something else to, like, break up the continuous grind of raiding or PvP, and that's why I actually like Mist of Pandaria, because they're adding these things. Like, people are like, oh, they're adding Pokemon. Like, that's at least something you can do outside of raiding and PvP. And they're adding, like, time trial dungeons, which is another thing you can do outside of raiding and PvP. And I think it's actually a good idea. Like, the number one thing people complain about is that it's like a children's expansion, which I think is stupid. Because, like I did in my Mist of Pandaria Rage video, which you can go watch right here. Look, there's a link to it. We have talking cows, gnomes, and aliens. So I think adding pandas is just like... what? Like, who cares? Like, the game's built for a more casual audience. It's always been built for a more casual audience with, like, the cartoony style. And that's why Skyrim can do, like, their darkish type things, because the game almost feels like, when it has that more realistic feeling, it feels like it's made for the, like, really in-depth lore and, like, Dungeons and Dragons feel almost. But when you play WoW, it's almost like it's like a cartoony, comic bookish feel. And because of that, I think it's more appealing to, like, the general audience. Like, do you get what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about this too much. But anyway, I don't think they're digging a hole for themselves. I think they're trying to dig out of the current hole, is what I think they're doing. And with the Chuck Norris ad, I mean, it was okay, but I mean, it's an outdated meme, if you will. I think they had a lot of better options they could have went with, but it's not a terrible idea, because, like, the people they're marketing to, like, on TV, they're just marketing to, you know, that person who's just, like, a casual gamer, and they see, like, oh, Chuck Norris, that's pretty funny, maybe I'll try it out. Like, I can see where they're going with that, but I think they had a lot of better options they could have done. I'm not going to go through all those options because I'm already, like, ranting ridiculously long on this question. But what's your other question? Do you think WoW's marketing story cater to loyal? Should they cater to the player base, like the loyal player base? And I don't think so, because the problem with catering to the loyal player base and the loyal fans and, you know, that type of thing is that they're gonna play anyway. It's like trying to convince, you know, someone to... Well, I don't think I have to give you an explanation. It's like if somebody really likes root beer and they drink it constantly, are you going to market root beer to them? No, because they're already drinking it. The whole point of marketing is to get someone to buy your product. If they're already buying the product, then who cares? Like, you don't need to market to them. It's wasted money. Your whole point of marketing is to get people that don't play your game to play it, or people that have quit to come back. And so, I have no problem with their current marketing style, although they could make some improvements. So I guess I do have some problems with it, but overall, it's not too bad. And on to the next question. Greetings, Crendor. This is for your WoW section. What do you think about the non-villain concept of Mist of Pandaria? I think having a major villain in an expansion is a good way for players to have something to look forward to, and is also a good way to make the story move forward to something. I know that Mist of Pandaria will focus on the war between Alliance and Horde, but I think it will still feel like something is missing. Also, what do you think about the hero vs villain concept? In Wrath there was Tyrion vs Arthas, and in Cataclysm there is Thrall vs Deathwing. I thought that the 4th expansion would be about the South Seas, since there's so much build up to it in Cataclysm, and it would be Malfurion vs Azshara, just like in Darkshore. So what do you think will be the hero and villain of Mist of Pandaria? Personally, with Blizzard talking about bringing Illidan back, it would be cool to see Gul'dan as a major villain. Hope to hear your always clever opinion soon. Law from Denmark. That's a cool name, Law. I like it. I have a cough drop now. I'm sorry if you hear my cough drop hitting my teeth. That's annoying. But I'm not extremely into the WoW lore. I know, this is... I probably should be, but it kind of interests me. I just never really looked into it all that much. But I'm actually kind of excited to not have the hero versus villain concept, because in vanilla, there wasn't really a hero versus villain concept either. So, I mean, it's worked before, but I think we've had it 3 years in a row. What was that? Burning Crusade was Illidan, Wrath was Arthas, and then this one was Deathwing. And I'm kind of getting tired of it, because I've gotten to the point where I really don't care anymore. Like, oh, we gotta kill Deathwing. Like, honestly, I don't really care about Deathwing anymore. Like, no, real talk here. Real talk. I don't care about Deathwing. I could, like, oh, we're going to the Farlands. It's the final Deathwing fight. Like, I don't care. I honestly don't care. I cared about killing Arthas. I never did Illidan because I think I quit for a while at the end of Burning Crusade, and in Molten in Molten Core in Vanilla I did like all those instances, and that was fun because like you got to experience different things. Like you got to experience Molten Core, which was like the Ragnaros fight, and then you got to go to Blackwing Lair, and that was like the what's his frickin' Nefarian, and then you get to go to Ahn'Qiraj and Zul'Gurub, and it was just like a bunch of different fights all thrown into one, and I like that better than like one super main villain, and I'm kind of glad they're going back to that because of that reason. It gives it more variety over what they're doing now, and I think the Alliance vs. Horde theme is actually a good idea, because right now it's kind of dissolved into like nothing. Like I think the last time I cared about like Alliance vs. Horde was like in Nagrand, where they would have like the neutral PvP area, or maybe Wintergrasp. Yeah, probably Wintergrasp. But when that's the only thing that creates a rivalry between these two factions, I think that is not a very good thing. I don't know what to call it. But hopefully this is going to bring in some like world PvP, and people will be forced to like leave Orgrimmar. Like they need to give buffs for leaving the city. Because when you give buffs for leaving the city, not like crappy buffs either, like good buffs that you have to fight over, that is helpful. Like they tried doing that with like those Sands of Silithus and like these towers in Western Plaguelands, but that was stupid. They need, like I said before, with like dungeons, like if you go to the dungeon entrance, like you get your own party and you go to the dungeon entrance, that should give you a buff for that instance, not queuing with the dungeon tool. The dungeon tool is more of a convenience, so you shouldn't get a buff. Like that makes sense to me, unless it's like looking for raid, because it's harder to do the looking for raid. And I like the dungeon, the 5-man dungeon buff concept too, because it's like a group of 5 people, and then you're going to the dungeon, and on your way to the dungeon, there's probably going to be other groups of 5 people, so that's going to create like these conflicts outside the dungeons, and because of that, you know, maybe they'll be like, oh, these douchebags are outside the dungeon, come get over here, guild, and then the whole guild will go there, and you have like these fights outside dungeons. So like these, you could have like giant fights outside of dungeon instances, and then maybe make it so if you get into combat, you can't enter the dungeon for like a minute or 2, and that would be awesome. And I don't know, they just need to like think up stuff like that, because those are the types of things that are going to start like rivalries between each other again. But yeah, that's my opinion on that. Now for the LoL question. Hello, Crendor. I was looking for your opinion about League of Legends community sportsmanship. I usually come across people on the enemy that occasionally insult you in the match and at the end say, GG noobs, easy, or other rude comments. To me, it's just adding insult to injury, since it is like, you won, great, you don't need to shove it in my face. So back to the topic. What is your opinion on the community's sportsmanship? The LoL community. I would go as far to say it's worse than the WoW community, which you're getting pretty low on the scale here. But the LoL community, it's the #1 thing you find in the LoL community is arrogance. Because people are just so, they're like so caught up in the fact that they can't be bad, or like it's their team's fault. And I've had plenty of games where I did really bad, and I would like tell my team like, hey, I'm doing really bad, like I'm sorry, but I'm doing like really bad this game. But there are people where even when they're doing bad, they're just like, suck this team sucks, stupid suck team, get better. Like, they're just so stupid, and it hurts my brain when I play with these people. For example, I was Fiddlesticks in the jungle the other day, and I was like, hey, they have a Lee Sin, watch out for the counter jungle, and my team, like, helps me pull Golem, and then they all run off, and I was like, okay, or you can all run off, and then after I got blue buff, Lee Sin comes in and kills me, and I was like, oh, great. So I'm like, my jungle is going to be slow because I just got ganked in the jungle. So later on, this Tarek is just like, oh my god, stupid jungle, don't gank. And I was like, oh, you're 0-4, and you didn't protect me when I got ganked earlier, and I said my jungle be slow, and he's like, I wish I got good players. Like, oh my god. It's so bad. The people are just, ugh. Like, I lost 3 games after winning 7 games in a row. I think I won like 5 in a row as Fizz, because he's awesome. I decided to solo queue. Solo queue is like, I'm trying to, what can I compare solo queue to? It's just solo queuing in LoL is like the worst possible idea. And it's like, it's so weird because you get this like hope. You're just like, I think this time I'll win. And then you queue, and you just get, sometimes you'll get a good teammate. Usually it's just like a couple average people and then a really terrible person. And that terrible person like screws you over so badly. Like a Teemo in the top lane that goes 0-8 and then blames it all on tower dives. I was like, you don't die to tower dives 8 times. Like, oh, it's so bad. I could rant on that for days. But a lot of times at the end of the game, you'll hear people just like, GG or BG, stupid team sucks, and or you can see your team arguing with each other. But the LoL community has really terrible sportsmanship, and usually what you do at the end of a game, it's like StarCraft or any RTS game, you would be like GG, and it's like a respect thing, like you both do it to each other, so that sounded wrong, but you say GG, and it's like, oh, that's sportsmanship. But I think a lot of the problem is in RTS games, it's like a 1v1, so you figure like, oh, that was my, never mind, even in 1v1s in StarCraft, people will rage at the end of games and not say GG, but yeah, they have terrible sportsmanship. That's my opinion on that. It's awful. I have been, not gonna lie, I have been I have done my share of bad sportsmanship in that game, but it's mainly because when you're around those types of people, it rubs off on you, which isn't a good thing. So I tend to just /ignore my team when I play solo queue, which is bad because then you can't like strategize, but it's a lot better than having to hear your team like yell and say stupid things constantly, so yeah. And the final question. Hello, Crendor. I have a question for your random section. I've noticed you've been getting hate on some of your videos. I don't think it is nice of people to do that. If they don't like what you put out, just don't watch it. But my question is, how do you deal with hate? Thanks, Sandisk of Daromir. This is a question that a lot of people like to ask because, well, actually, do a lot of people ask this? I don't know. Probably not, because I picked it. But it's something I think about all the time, because I see it a lot. I see a lot of people that don't post videos because of, you know, the hate they get when they put it up, or you get like some troll comments or rude comments, and the best way... Oh. My voice is starting to go, because I've been talking for so long. The best way to deal with hate is to first decipher who's saying the comment and what they mean by it. And by that, I mean, there's a difference between somebody saying, like, this video sucks. Like, that's just a troll comment. But if you actually see someone that says, like, you know, you should improve your video editing because it's not very good. Like, to me, that's not really a hate comment. That's more of like a constructive criticism comment. It's not like extremely constructive, but you're at least getting like feedback on what you might be doing wrong. And I think you have to differentiate between the two. You also, over time, just have to like build up thick skin, because it's really easy to get angry over comments, and it's really easy to like get in a giant, you know, troll feeding battle where you're just like going back and forth. But you have to just be comfortable with yourself and say like, this is what I enjoy doing, and I don't care what other people think because I enjoy it, and I'm gonna keep doing this because I like it. So you might see, for example, I would get messages when I first started like, your voice is stupid, your voice is retarded, why don't even talk? So I would be like, oh, that's not good, maybe I shouldn't do videos. But like, if you let that get to you, then you're letting them win. But personally, I think the best way to deal with hate is to just ignore it. Granted, unless that hate is like getting really serious, like they want to stalk you or something, then you should probably do something about that. But for the most part, that's not what the internet is. The internet is just, you know, trolls and, you know, negative people, and you just gotta put up with it, because that's part of the internet. You know, you're not gonna make them go away, you gotta adapt. And that's that. That's it for this episode of World of Crendor. If you have questions, you can email them into worldofcrendor@gmail.com, and they might get answered on the next episode, so keep sending in those questions. Like, favorite this video, subscribe, blah 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 blah. YouTube talk. Okay? Okay. There you go.